A stunning statement yesterday from the comms director at the White House about how CNN is blacklisting Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff of the White House. They just won't have him on the air. In fact, Stephen Miller spoke for himself on this issue, and you're going to want to hear him because, of course, he's one of our favorites. But here's Stephen Chung, again, comms director there, saying Stephen Miller has graciously made himself available to appear on any CNN show these last few days to discuss a wide range of topics and to push back on fake news. Yet, CNN is so afraid they declined to have him on, probably because they know he'd run circles around any of their hosts. CNN is actively engaging in partisan politics and acting as the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. I've got a lot to say about this. With regard to CNN and with regard to the responsibility of America's press. But first, let's hear from Stephen Miller himself. He was on with Hannity talking about this.
So over the last few days, our brilliant White House communications shop has reached out to CNN, which of course is running one fake news hit piece after another. And they said, Stephen Miller would like to come on your network to rebut any of these lies. And they asked what show. They said, Stephen Miller will do any show from dawn to dusk. They said, what topic? The White House said, Stephen is available to discuss any topic with any host at any time. As far as you're concerned, Stephen has no scheduling conflicts at all. He will make himself available from the first hour of air to the last hour of air on any subject. And you know what CNN's response was? We will not take him, period, for any show on any topic. That is completely true, Sean.
Unbelievable. And by the way, there's a lot revealed in that exchange, assuming that it is factual, and I have no reason to doubt Stephen Miller's account there. Number one, the fact that CNN replied and said, what's the best time to have him on? And they said, anytime. From 5 a.m. till midnight, he's available to you anytime. And then the follow-up question, well, what topic do you want to talk about? Is it any topic at all? So the fact that they pretended to show some interest, see, because regardless of what the response would have been, if they had said, yeah, so we're looking at the morning hours, probably during the morning show, they would have replied and said, yeah, you know what, we're all booked up right now. We're trying to, go away from having White House officials on during the morning show. So we're not able to. Or if the topic was, well, he wants to talk about the border and immigration. Yeah, you know what, that's not really on the rundown today. We'll let you know. We'll get back to you when we want to. So that's what they were trying to do there. But the fact that the White House comms team said any topic, any subject, any time, any host, any show, any way, anywhere, we don't care. He'll come to studio. He'll do it from his home. He'll do it from the White House. Let's go. And then they still replied and said, yeah, it's not going to happen. So that shows you that they never intended to anyway, but they still played lip service because they tried to play a game with them. Right? But let's be clear here. If you tune into CNN on any given day, you will hear sometimes from the hosts themselves, but usually they sort of, float one out there for their guest or for their roundtable of analysts. They float out a Stephen Miller soundbite or a topic of Stephen Miller just so one of their radical left-wing analysts or guests can call Stephen Miller a Nazi, or a white nationalist, or a fascist, or a bigot, or whatever other pejorative that they throw his way. And here now Stephen Miller wants to show up on the network and defend himself, speak to policy, and say, you know what, you guys called me Hitler the other day. And believe it or not, that's not the kind of thing that me, a father of a couple little kids, wants out there. So may I respond, please? And their answer is no. No, you can't. Now, that's disgusting and despicable to treat any American citizen that way, to defame them and not give them a right to speak their mind and reply on your platform. But couple that with the fact that he is a senior White House official. I thought CNN was in the business of news, right? And last I checked, in the year of our Lord 2025, if you're CNN and you have a Washington bureau and you're focused on news, it means that some of the top newsmakers are going to be coming from the White House, especially a senior official like the advisor to the president and the deputy chief of staff, Mr. Miller. So if you're really in the business of news, I would think that you would want to have a newsmaker on to talk about the news. If the purpose of the network is to actually inform their viewers about the news. But you see, that's not the business they're in. Why won't they have Stephen Miller on? Well, I'll show you. Because when they stray from that mandate that one of the N's in CNN stands for, the news, and they decide instead to engage in propaganda or political argumentation and partisanship, Stephen Miller doesn't play the game. And he ends up making them look like fools. Here's a quick example of that.
Is it the case that, as Pritzker frames it, you are profiling brown people, that this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color?
It's such a, oh, what a dumb question. The illegal aliens who are here are taking jobs away from blacks. They're taking jobs away from whites. They're taking jobs away from Latinos. They're taking their health benefits away. They're taking their school slots away. And of course, in many cases, they're committing heinous crimes. We cannot have a system of law in this country that privileges illegal aliens over American citizens. And that's what they're doing. You know it, and I know it.
So that's not exactly a no, Stephen. Can you just unequivocally state that the immigration policy...
I said it's a dumb question. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
But it's a dumb question.
So no, this policy is not designed.
I thought when I said it was a dumb question, it meant no.
Well, I just want to be clear and precise. I appreciate you trying to qualify my questions, but nevertheless, I think it's a fair one that a lot of people have.
My full answer is no. That is a lie, and it's a dumb question.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why. I could be wrong. I'm just reading the tea leaves. I'm no genius. I'm a bit of a professional media analyst. I'm putting the pieces together. I'm not ready to commit 100% to this, but I think that might be why CNN is not interested in the Stephen Miller show on their network. The answer is no. And it's a dumb question. I'm so sorry I was imprecise before. Yeah, when they raise this stuff with him, he doesn't play their shit. And he delivers facts. He delivers sound, reasonable arguments in the face of their shit. And they can't have that. They don't want that. So now you've got a cable news network who is refusing to book the deputy chief of staff from the White House because it hurts their feelings to have him on. Maybe if they treated him professionally and actually didn't ask, stupid, obnoxious, and offensive questions like that, and actually dealt in the world of news and information and facts, and approached every segment with the idea that our mandate is to better inform and enlighten our viewers rather than to push a political agenda and try to damage people who work at the White House, maybe then these segments would go a little better. But they don't have it in them. Not until they get bought out and new people are in charge, which could be happening any month now. Meanwhile, CNN had a banner day yesterday after that response from Stephen Miller, the one that he gave to Hannity the other day. And then you had this moment as President Trump took questions at a meeting in the cabinet room, and he knew exactly the network the reporter who was asking this question from came from.
And I'm fixing it.
Mr. President, has Secretary Hegseth told you why he hasn't released the video of the second strike?
No, he hasn't told me. I thought that issue was dead. You're surprised you bring it up. You must be CNN.
Lawmakers are still
Are you
talking about it
CNN?
on the Hill.
Are you CNN?
I am with CNN.
Oh, gee, I'm shocked to find out.
The lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about lawmakers. Which lawmakers are you talking about?
Just the Democrats have been talking about trying to release
I
it.
mean, the people that you work for, the Democrats? You know you work for the Democrats, don't you? You're basically an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do love that. I thought that story was dead. People are still talking about it. Oh, you must be from CNN. Are you from CNN? I am from CNN. Well, there you go. I love the guy. He's so funny. And by the way, one other question. at a different meeting. Which was this meeting? I don't think this was the same day, was it, Kevin?
No, this is a flashback from about a week ago.
Right. This was the cabinet meeting last week. Thank you. And he was asked about reports that there are up to 20 Republicans considering retiring this year. And by the way, you see those reports. That's normal, by the way, especially when you've got midterms coming up, which are always hard for the party that is not in power in the White House, number one. So there are some headwinds for Republicans. And number two, just to be cynical here, I'm sorry, but it's the reality. Members of Congress right now are looking at another 2 years of Trump being in the White House. Now, we might get a Republican in the White House 4 years after that, but that's not locked. You're locked in knowing that Trump's going to be president for 2 more years. And if you retire next year, that means you've got 2 years of solid, profitable lobbying that you can do. I'm sorry. It's just the reality. It's the truth. Any member of Congress right now who is a Republican who's considering retiring, baked into that equation is either the next race they're going to run, probably for Senate or governor in 2028, or they're going to stay in Washington and get a job for some interest group or for a lobbying firm or a law firm so they can cash out for the next 2 years while a Republican is in charge of the White House. Sorry. It's just the reality. I don't like it, but that's what's happening. It has nothing to do with losing confidence in Donald Trump or that they think they're going to lose the majority, yada, yada, yada. But that said, the reporter wants to know all about these 20 Republicans who are going to retire.
And I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again. Do you
And
have any
Democrats
concerns
also.
about the
And Democrats
Right.
also.
Do you have
Well,
any
why don't you mention them? How many Democrats are going to retire? How many Democrats?
Well, that's what I was going to
No,
ask.
no,
Do
but
you
why
have
don't you
any
tell me the number of
concerns?
Democrats too? You
Well,
tell
are
me
you
about.
concerned about the narrow margins? And
No, I'm not concerned. I think we're going to do well.
Among them, and,
We will have the
National
greatest
Candidate
economy.
Blakeman, who you know as well, is considering running for
We're going to have the
governor.
greatest economy in history. How many Democrats are retiring? How come you only know the Republicans but not the
Because
Democrats?
I came prepared to ask you a question about.
No, you're
your head of-
unprepared because you should know the Democrats. You're totally unprepared. Go ahead.
And guess what network she was from? I believe she was from CNN. I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. By the way, real fast, did you hear the preface of that question as she was asking it?
In terms, and I just have a quick question. There's at least 20 House Republicans who have either said they're going to retire or not run again.
Yeah, see, that's not accurate. There are reports in Politico or Washington Post or whoever like dabbles in these anonymous reports. There are reports that up to 20 Republicans might be considering, but no one's put their name on it. She just said it as if it were fact. But this is what happens with the media in this town. And that's why I love that the Trump administration pushes back against them, not just from what Stephen Miller just did, but what President Trump does on a regular basis. And I love the fact that we now see Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance and Sean Duffy and RFK and Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and Pat Bondi and Kash Patel and other Republicans sort of feel their oats and recognize, oh, yeah, we can do this. We don't have to play their game anymore because the radical left-wing liberal media are not our friends. Although, in the spirit of giving you all the information that's out there and letting you hear the news and decide for yourself what your opinion is, let me give you one alternative perspective on this. According to these people, that would be Wajahat Ali, Joy Reid, and Don Lemon. Boy, talk about a Mount Rushmore of journalistic integrity. Not to mention a small sleeper cell of Mensa agents right here in the heart of the nation's capital. According to these three, there is no liberal media.
There's no liberal media. It's never existed other than in independent media. This is liberal media where we are right now on the left hook. Other than that, corporate media, there's nothing liberal about it. The owners are conservatives who want to do business with Trump.
There you go. That's a woman who recently worked at MSNBC before she was fired. It's now MS Now, of course. And I guess she's saying that that network is not liberal, because ultimately Comcast Universal wants to do business with Trump. And she may be right about the intentions of the corporate owners of these media companies, but you sure don't see it manifest in the coverage. Joy Reid believes that when she was on the air on MSNBC, she was constrained and not allowed to be liberal enough by her censorious corporate overlords. You can't make this up.